Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I am Jose Chacko. I teach economics. I have been teaching the subject for the past 12 years. I work as an economics faculty at Wakedu School, which is under Ministry of Education, Maldives. Today's topic is how can we make teaching and learning economics more interesting and effective. Before I start the session, let me tell you that this is based on my experience, and there are a number of methods that you can use, and some methods are I found very effective, so I have made only use these slide based on my experience. So let's start. So all of you know that before we start a session, it is effective to start a bridge course for the students. As you all know, that bridge course is the time period during which we actually prepare the students to the actual classroom. And I always found that this is the time period during which we can teach the students some basic concepts. As you all know that a huge building cannot be built without a strong foundation. Without basic concepts, students will have no idea with regard to the economic theories. So it is always better that we teach them basic concepts. And in order to teach basic concepts, we can make use of various methods. We can use our own examples. We can bring our own examples to teach them these concepts, or we can use the following methods. For instance, in some schools, we use some books. These are some books which I found really interesting. As you all know that students love reading cartoons. These are the two books which I found very interesting, which is the first one is the Cartoon Introduction to Economics, where students are taught microeconomics, and the second volume where the Cartoon Introduction to Economics, where students are taught macroeconomics. So students love reading stories and cartoons. They will really enjoy learning reading this. And as we all know that we teach students who are 21st century learners, they all love watching animations. And this is one YouTube channel I found really very interesting, and my students are also making use of this, which is 1 minute economics, and they need to spend only 1 minute actually for watching these animations, so that they will learn the basic concepts. And also another method that we often use in our classroom is role play. So before you start teaching them concepts, it is better you enact some role plays so that students can actually understand the concepts. For instance, as we all know that a subsidy is a concept that we teach in economics. Rather than defining the term subsidy, teacher can do one thing. Teacher can call out the name of any one student, and once when a student comes in front of the class, teacher can enact as the government, and the student will act as the producer, and teacher can actually transfer some amount of money from his pocket to the student's wallet, so that student will get an understanding that student will get an idea that subsidy is a financial help given by the producer, given by the government to the producer to boost production. See here, without defining the concept, you have actually taught the student that basic concept. So this is also one of the methods that you can use actually to make economics learning and teaching really interesting and engaging. And another method that we often use is board games. There are n number of board games which are available in the market. And nowadays, I know that as we are teaching new generation kids, they may not like these board games as they are in the virtual world, but still, in my schools and all, we actually encourage students to play these board games. One of those board game is Monopoly, which is available in India as well, where students are the players actually learn demand and supply as well as bargaining, all these concepts. So this is also one of the methods that you can use. And even we know that uh, uh, nowadays students actually like playing online games. Even some virtual simulations are also available, but I don't suggest those because I am. It depends on the school. It depends on the culture and all. So I don't really use those things, but that is also advisable. And another way by which we can teach them um, the concept in detail is using real life examples. So whenever we use real life examples, students will have a feeling that this is something close to them, and they will have a clear understanding regarding the concepts and topics. For instance, uh, if you when you are teaching the concept opportunity cost, you can teach them, as you can see in this uh, study. If you study, you will get A plus, but if you if you don't study, that means free time is equal to failure, or F grade you will get. So from this, it is clear to the student that the opportunity cost of studies is not studying or free time. So this is also an example that we can use actually to teach them the basic concepts. And another method that we can use in classrooms, and this is actually must, you must bring some humor into your lecture. Otherwise, it will be very boring for the audience or the students, so that students will engage. For instance, take the same concept, opportunity cost, in um, I come from Kerala, where we are having a lot of plantations, rubber plantations. So the uh, example which I use in my classroom is this: the opportunity cost of your education is the profit that your father might have got, uh, would have get on rubber plantations, so that the student will get a clear-cut idea regarding what the concept is. And you can change this according to the culture, according to the classroom situations as well. So whenever you integrate humor into your classrooms, students will actually find teaching the subject really interesting. And we all know that diagrams are really important in a subject like economics. And more diagrams are taught in all grades. Um, See, diagrams also help students to understand the concepts in detail. So, for instance, as you can see that this is a demand diagram, and students will come to know that as price is on y axis and quantity demanded is on x axis, when price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and when price increases, quantity demanded decreases. So they have learned the relationship between price and quantity without your explanation. So that this is also another method that we can use actually to make learning and teaching economics really interesting and engaging, so that students will have a clear understanding regarding the concept. And another method that we often use in economics is formulas. So there are so many formula that students have to learn. For instance, as you know that saving, S stands for saving, and the Y stands for income or disposable income, whereas C stands for consumption. From this itself, students will get an idea that the difference between what is left after your disposable income is only saving. So that formula also help, rather than defining the concept. If you teach them formula, students will really understand the concept in detail. So that's also a method. And as we are all in a 21st era, we need to integrate technology into our classrooms. And I'm not that much a technologically oriented person. I am not that much. I don't have any that much idea regarding the various apps that we can use. But still, we can all use some basic things like these slides. We can use, and if you are uh, on a if you are doing any online classes, you can actually uh, uh, use Jamboards so that students will find it more engaging, especially when you are after conducting after explaining a concept. You can do this as an online activity. Ask the students um, to do this activity using the Jamboard, so that you will get an idea whether students have really understood the concept or not, and they will also find it really engaging. And for drawing diagrams and all, we can actually use uh, e-tab and e-pen, so that student will find it really interesting. Rather than using the board, we can use this. So that is also a method that we can actually adopt for teaching economics. And as we know that field trips are also very, very important for teaching economics. And when we send students for field trips, they will get a clear-cut understanding regarding the uh, various topics that they are going to learn in economics. For example, you can take the students to a bank before you start teaching the functions of commercial banks. You can take them to a bank so that they will get a very good knowledge regarding the various functions of commercial banks. So that's also a very good activity that we can actually use to make learning and teaching economics really engaging and interesting. And another method that we can use in economics to make the teaching really fun is, or learning really fun is, mind maps, use of mind maps. Mind maps or flow charts you can actually prepare. And you can ask students to prepare some flow charts or mind maps, so that during exams as well, they find it very, that will find really helpful for them. And also we can prepare some posters. That is also another method that we can use. I can suggest some online platforms, websites. Tutor2U is one of the websites that we use actually to download posters. So, and we can actually, students will actually find this really interesting when they get these posters and all. And another method that we use in our classroom is discussion. You can actually encourage your students to have a group discussion on various topics, so that students will learn to accept his or opponent's views, and they will have a clear-cut understanding regarding the topic as well, and they will get various viewpoints, and that will also develop their critical thinking as well. So this is also one of the methods that we use to teach economics, rather than having a lecture, or rather than having a teacher-centric method. We can actually use these activities. And before we go into the actual lecture, we must plan the class, our lessons as well. And we need to make sure that our class is going, our lesson is going to cater to the interests of various types of learners. As you know that visual learners, auditory learners, and kinesthetic and writing and reading learners are there. So it should actually cater to the interest of all these learners. And sometimes we cannot actually uh, satisfy all these four types of learners at the same time, but it must satisfy these four category learners. So that's all. So today, I am sure that you got an idea regarding this And now, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Yes, Mr. Juice. Can you stop sharing the PPT, sir, so that the audience can have a better view of you? Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. So we have a couple of questions lined up here, sir. I'll read out to you. Most of the points are already covered by you in a very simple way with a very simple slides. You have put it very neat and clear. The first question goes like this: what inspired you to focus on making economics education more interesting and effective?
What I found was that I worked in almost all states, and I have worked in various countries. And what I learned was that students are finding economics really difficult, and teachers also don't have any clear understanding how to make it more interesting. And because in most of the schools, business teachers are asked to teach economics, they are not actually bringing specialists to teach the subject. And that's the reason why I thought to prepare this one.
Okay, sir. Thanks. So, in your opinion, what are the key challenges in teaching and learning economics today?
One of the major problem that we find is that this is a subject which often changes. For instance, uh, uh, you need to learn. If you are in India, you may have to learn the various indicators and all in India: inflation rate, unemployment rate, poverty rate, all these things you have to learn. And if you are in an international setting, you may have to learn even those countries' indicators and all, and that we may find it very difficult. Um, so this is actually this subject. It is not actually that you can by heart and uh, write this one. You should have a clear understanding regarding what is happening around the world. So that is actually a bit more challenging.
Right, sir. Right. So you have explained your strategies of teaching methods, um, what you follow. But again, the viewers, the audience have posted another question related to that. Can you please throw more light on it? What strategies or teaching methods have you found to be most effective in engaging students in economics?
I think it's a role play. We use role play and all to teach the students, and even group discussions. These are the two methods that we often use in our classrooms. As role play and all, we use only in grade 9 and grade 10, because I handle IGCSE O level syllabus as well. So that in lower classes we use that method, whereas in higher grades, ASA levels, we use group discussion, so that we can even develop critical thinking abilities among children.
Okay. So you have mentioned about the role play, and can you give examples? Another example. Can you give examples of real world applications of economics concepts to make the subject more relevant to students?
Yeah, I think I have already mentioned that in my lecture. For instance, you can, if you are going to teach them consumption, this is you can, if you are actually teaching them the concept production, economic activities. As we know that economic activities means it includes production, consumption, as well as exchange. So the method which I follow in my classroom is that I'll tell students that, as you know, that I am a producer, I am producing one service, and you are my consumers. So we are actually engaged in an economic activity. So from that itself, it is quite clear. Students have learned that concept. They have learned who is a producer, and they have learned who is a consumer. I am the producer, I am providing a service, and they are my consumers, they are consuming my service. And what we we are doing at classroom is actually an economic activity because they are paying for that. So I am sure that they will learn that concept. So these are some methods that we can actually use, which is very close, which they can actually relate. I hope I
Yes,
have
sir.
answered. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So how can technology and digital resources enhance the teaching and learning of economics?
Yeah, this is actually now we are no, previously and all I used only board and because we have so many diagrams and all. But when I come to Maldives, especially here, people actually students actually don't like using boards. They always like online tools and all. They always like, so we use this it's very simple tools only we are using. We are not using that much complicated things. I think in some schools and all they even use some virtual simulations where students are guided by the teacher to the virtual world where they learn some uh, economic concepts and all. But in considering our classroom setting and all, we can use only Jamboard or to draw diagrams. Instead of drawing it on the board, we may use electronic tab and electronic pen so that students will actually find it really interesting. And after giving a lecture, we may ask the student as a homework. I may send an activity through we may set one through Jamboard. We may do one activity so that while they are at home, they will engage in this activity and they will learn the concept. So these
Right.
are the methods that we can use.
Yes. So you mentioned about means like you don't encourage kind of the virtual games, that kind of culture. But what role does games play in making economics education more engaging? I'm not talking about the virtual games. You spoke
Right.
about Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
So what
Yes.
role does games play in making economics education more engaging?
Actually, students are learning by engaging in that. They are actually playing a role when they are actually playing that game, so that they will get a real life experience from that. That is why we often encourage students to play those games like Monopoly and also that they will learn what is demand, what is supply, what is bargaining, and all. And even students often love playing these sort of games as most of the students are engaged majority of their time in virtual world. So it is actually better to take them to these board games so that they will learn the concepts as well as they love spending their time in playing that.
Mhm. So how can teachers adapt their sorry their teaching styles to cater to different learning preferences in economic classrooms, sir?
For instance, I have mentioned that, if you allow me, for example, um, visual learners are there. For visual learners, we can actually use some charts, we can use posters so that they will learn the concept. I have shown one picture where a picture on opportunity cost that can be used for visual learners so that we don't have to explain anything. They will get a clear cut idea regarding that concept. And for kinesthetic learners, we can actually use this role play or these board games. Um, so I think these are some of the methods that we can actually use. And even for those who are good at writing, those who learn, those who like to learn through writing, you can actually give them some activities like writing a story on a concept like that you can give so that we can actually cater to the interest of almost all um, sort of learners.
Okay. So So what tips do you have for the other educators, sir? Like on the whole, like not only for economics, who teach economics as a subject, but in general, what tips do you have for educators? From your learnings and from with your experience.
What I found was that in the beginning we all fail, and through it is through experience only. I can only talk about my experience. We need to practice, and even if we fail, we don't have to worry. We have to sort out our mistakes, and so that in the future or within a short period of time we will become an effective educator. So that is also only the tip which I would like to give.
Thanks for sharing, sir. Last but not the least, the audience wants to know, you have mentioned that you have worked in different countries too, or different places. Where all you have worked, and what was the experience in different places for you, sir?
Yeah, I actually started my career in Kerala, where I taught degree as well as postgraduate students. After completing my UGC NET in economics, I started working as an assistant professor in economics on contract. And after that, I came to Maldives, and I worked here almost for 2.5 years. Then I returned to India and worked in Bangalore, and in Karnataka, various places like Chikmagalur I worked, and in Bangalore, so many in PU colleges I worked, and then I went to Maharashtra, and again I came to Maldives, and even I got an opportunity even to live in England. There I didn't work, but I didn't work as a teacher, but I worked as I worked in another field, so that I got an understanding regarding the various syllabuses as well as the various cultures.
Great to know, sir. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. We also thank the audience for participating in the event. We will end the session now. Before we end the session, do you have anything else to say, sir?
That's all, ma'am. Thank you very much for giving me this platform. This was wonderful.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your time. We'll end the meeting now.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, audience.